Welcome back to the Real Estate Den, episode 27. Today we have Marc out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome, Marc.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, and this is the first time for these episodes because up until now we've always had two guests, and this is the first time that we will not have two. So, but Marc has experience with so many different things, so I told him it was fine because he tell us a little bit about yourself because you wear many different hats.
Well, I just hope I didn't scare the other guests off. I hope this wasn't a bad impression of myself. But yes, my name is Marc. I'm a full-time firefighter in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm also a realtor and property manager with Remax Honolulu, and I also invest remotely. So I invest in real estate about 6,000 miles away in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I also have a YouTube channel under Financial Firefighter.
Great. Thank you for joining us today. You and I were talking a little bit before we started recording about just like how everything sort of changed. So give us the history of your sort of real estate career and kind of what brought you to where you are now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of been a blur. Everything's kind of gone kind of quickly for myself. I mean, I've had real estate, like I talked about it maybe about 2008. I started with a condo, but being in the fire service for over 15 years now, we have a great pension, we have great medical health benefits, and I definitely was just coasting along. I kind of just lived in a bubble. I felt like, I have this great pension set up. I have healthcare, medical for life after when I retire. I have a condo, and then at some point I did transition to a single family home about 6 years later. So I thought I was golden. I thought I was just ready, do my 25, 30 years, and I'd be set. And the COVID happened, the pandemic happened, and things got shut down. And being a first responder, you were kind of, maybe I guess you could say, forced to do certain things that you may not have wanted to do. And it really opened my eyes to kind of how risky I was being, relying on this one job or one career or this pension. So it really put me down this path of seeing passive income or building wealth and having multiple streams of income. So that kind of really pushed me into looking outside the box. And as I mentioned, I do live in Honolulu, Hawaii. So the housing cost is very expensive here. There's limited land and there's also limited buildings. So it's that whole supply and demand thing. And the median single family home is roughly around $1 million right now. And so it's a hard entry point to get in. So I'm a very big believer in, live where you want, but invest where the numbers make sense. And there's a lot of great markets out there. And I do happen to invest in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Sorry. So you got your real estate license when after COVID happened, essentially.
Yeah, so I got my license after COVID, and a lot of people, I probably looked at it a different way. I really wanted to get into it more from the property management side.
Okay.
A lot of people get in, and I look at it just like real estate investing. A lot of people look at the buy and hold single family home method as kind of a you know pocket change, kind of just it's a long play, where a lot of people look at like the fix and flip method as that you get those bigger returns and bigger chunks of payouts. And that's kind of how I looked at the real estate agent side. Is people do sales and they do well, but you're always hustling for that money. You're always hustling for that next transaction, and you do get bigger paydays, but it's also a lot more work. And the property management side, I felt like you can kind of build like a business in a sense, where you get certain amount of clients, a certain amount of owners to manage for, and you kind of get this residual income coming in every month. And
Yeah.
I also looked at it as a way to maybe possibly build a business to where when my son does, get turned to be 18 or whatnot, it's something I can pass down to him as a kind of a business to start running. And he can start, having that residual income at that time. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And, it's funny, all the other agents are like, why do you want to do property management? They thought it was crazy. And then now, as you folks know, sales are hitting like all-time lows transaction wise. And I see a lot of other agents now trying to pick up, maybe a handful of properties just to help with their income, to be property managers. And But that's always the kind of the way I looked at it, more of this steady kind of passive residual income coming in monthly.
Absolutely. I don't know how the laws are in Hawaii. But when I was in managing broker school, I don't remember much, but I do remember that I didn't want to be doing property management at my company. Like I just, like, it was I was like, yeah, no.
You know, that's what everyone says. I mean, everyone I would mention it to, they're just like, oh, like, you know, why do you want to do that? And it's just yeah, it's not glamorous, and it doesn't seem worth it a lot of times, right? You know, a lot of times maybe you get 10% off of the rent, and a lot of people are looking at it as kind of like, oh, it's not worth, you know, the amount of time I'm putting into it. And you know, it's just like anything, right? I think it comes down to the property, though, right? You find owners that have, you know, fairly good properties, and the type of tenant you place there, it can be fairly passive or hands off.
And that's just so true for anything. And I do like I really think we probably could benefit from having different licenses for the two different practices, because I do think they are vastly different and they kind of take a different personality sort of too, right? Like I liked it when I was in sales that I didn't have to see you again if I didn't like you. Like if they're like if you liked me, I'm getting referral business. If you didn't, we were done. Like, so that
You
was,
know, yeah, that's the tricky part with property management, is because you're kind of in between two people, right? You're trying to satisfy the owner, make money for the owner, but you're also trying to make sure that you're keeping the tenant. So you're kind of crossing this fine line of balancing a balancing act of providing good service for two different clients in a way.
yeah, I have, and not to say that I don't have like, I have a ton of respect for property managers. Like I thank you, property managers, because I ain't out here doing it. So thank you for doing what you're doing. But and like I love this podcast because it just showcases how many different ways, and that's why I like doing this podcast, because it does showcase the vastness of real estate, and that there's enough for everybody to have a career in real estate. And no matter field what you get, just because you get a real estate license and you're not selling doesn't mean that you don't belong here. Maybe you just are a better property manager or better with title or better with doing, lending, like who knows, but there's definitely a space for you. So yeah, what if you could kind of go back, and even though this isn't very long ago, because well, COVID, I guess it is kind of long
It
ago. Like
is.
COVID switched everything, like even time, I swear.
Yeah.
Um, what would you go back and tell yourself one thing, if you could tell yourself one thing, if you knew then what you know now?
Like from a real estate standpoint, or like like just like financially.
Either, both, personally, kind of what.
I would really, from a kind of mindset shift or financial approach, I would really realize that, you know, a lot of people like to say that the wealthy have secrets, or they don't, you know, tell us everything, but that's kind of not true. I think everything is out there. It's just a matter of if you want to kind of learn more about it, or not get caught up around what, you know, your circle is telling you, like, oh, that's a scam, or this and that. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's really who you surround yourself with. And you know, that I kind of talk about this a lot on my YouTube channel. Is I love the firehouse. I love the connections that I've made, but at the same time, I feel like it's a group that is working towards their pension, and it's a group of people that have this vision of working 25, 40 years for this pension at that payout at the end. And I feel like I love the job, but I could have had a great 10-year career and it would have been successful at it. And if I focus more on the finances and real estate side, I think that would have been my path to kind of retiring early, but also just having a great 10-year career. And so I think it's really about who you surround yourself with, and people that are striving to do other things. And whether it's start a business, whether it's start a podcast, whether it's, you know, to go into real estate, or, you know, if you prefer stocks, but it's just other people that realize that there's so much opportunities out there. And the one big thing I really didn't realize too is it's almost as if money is fake. Like money is fake. And you know, having money is, you don't want money, right? You want it in assets, you want it in real estate, you want it in stocks and other things. And that's the thing, right? You know, when they can print money anytime they want, it's really how valuable is it to actually have money, right? So that's something that I just, like I said, I was kind of just in this bubble, working for my paycheck, working for my pension. And like I said, COVID just really, really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And it really just made me realize like how kind of, we're lied to.
I have so many things I agree with you that is just like unreal. And I got into real estate at 21. So I was really young. This was like my only career. I've only ever lived this way. And I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that it was risky. I was risky working this job, working for my pension, because all that I've heard in my almost 9 years of being in the industry, is that I'm risky for being in business, which I think is just so ironic, because like it's just such a testament to depends on your mindset, right? Like I always kind of said, I'm like, well, what if you lose your job? Like what if like something can happen to my business just like something can happen to your job? Like I don't know, isn't it kind of the same? Um
Exactly.
so that's what do your mornings look like? Do you have kind of a structured morning and ritual that you do?
Yeah, people give me a hard time about it. I mean, people that's so I like to say that I'm lazy. I'm very lazy, but I think, and that's also what I like to talk about, is I feel like it's about always understanding yourself, but also figuring out how to turn that into a strength or benefit. So I am lazy, but I think that has made me efficient and effective. So, I'm one of those people that like I have to work out. And if I don't work out, it kind of just sets the tone for the rest of my day. And so I do wake up very early to get something in, at least do something. And now that has changed too, because, so for my, because I invest about, a couple of time zones away, so about 6 hours away, a lot of times my properties are in Pittsburgh. And if I get a message from, the property manager or a lender or whatnot, if I wake up at, 5 in the morning Hawaii time, or 6 in the morning, it's like noon or after lunch for Pittsburgh. And
Right?
now we're just playing tag, right? So they may send me a message early in the morning. If I don't get to it later, then I see it, then I message them, but their day is going to be finished soon. So they might not get back to me the next morning. And then if I, so it's kind of like this circle of this merry-go-round. So I actually wake up probably around 2:30 every day in Hawaii. And I check emails, I do social media stuff, and I work out. And that's also because my son is sleeping. So I get a lot done before yeah. And that also allows me to focus on when he does wake up. I can just have breakfast with him. We can, goof around in the morning, when I do have him, get him to school and things like that. So yeah, a lot of people look at it as me being crazy, but I feel like that has been my structure to allow me to function effectively. So yeah.
Your early mornings by yourself and are just they're amazing. Once you have an established routine, or you have like a little ritual you do, like it's quiet and it's dark, and yeah, that's I love that. What time do you go to bed if you're waking up at 2:30?
Yeah, so I'm not probably the don't follow any health tips or what's the most beneficial for you. So, it varies. I mean, last night, I was at the firehouse and we had a couple calls and stuff. So I probably didn't, I didn't go to bed till midnight probably.
Do you run your day on 2.5 hours sleep?
Well, I mean, I don't like to, but I mean, I'll definitely try and get a nap in probably at some point today.
Goodness.
I have some other Zoom calls and other issues, but get to it, then I do my day. I would constantly being like, okay, I gotta rush because I need to work out. I need to. So yeah, I know it's not the best to not get a good night's sleep, but to me, it just allows me to have a better overall day. Like, that I get the workout, and if not, I'm constantly going to be stressing about how am I going to fit it in, or I'm going to be rushing. So
Right.
yeah.
No, I used to be, I 4 o'clock was my time that I like to wake up. That was before I had kids though, and I had like a very intense morning routine. And now I do my journal and I read and I like do like a couple other like marketing things, and that's just like my quick little morning routine. But what ways, how old is your son, if I can ask?
He will be 9 at the end of July.
Okay, how did your relationship with your son change when you had all of these sort of like COVID like realizations?
So that's a great question. And it's something I always struggle with because, you kind of just touched on it, me having this early morning routine and getting up early and getting a lot of things done. Sometimes I feel like I'm not showing him that hustle. Like I'm not showing him what it might need to take if you want to, get to the next step or what you want to do in life, right? So maybe he doesn't see that, or he only sees me having all this time to spend with him, or he only sees, and I know that's beneficial, spending all this quality time with him, but I feel like sometimes I'm limiting him seeing the grind that I'm putting in. So that's sometimes where I struggle with it. Yeah, sometimes I gotta let him see what I'm doing. But definitely, that whole, like you're talking about, my whole mindset on even just education has changed quite a bit, right? So, some people definitely going to school, getting a college degree is beneficial for them. And that's that. Some people, it just works for them. I'm hoping that he does have some entrepreneurial mindset or goals in there. And, like, and that's also, I think, why I'm trying to do what I'm doing, because I want to be able to allow him even more opportunities to just do what he wants. So I think it's just constantly building, on that foundation. So, I know there's a lot of people that don't believe in passing down generational wealth or passing down wealth, and they want their kids to, kind of start from the bottom in a sense, like because I did, that's how they learn, right? I want to provide him a leg up if possible. Not saying I want to make his life easy, but I want to give him opportunities to if he wants to make cartoons and be a movie creator or whatever, then that's his passion, then he has all that opportunity to go try and fulfill that. If he wants to make toys, but I think that's what it is, and it's just giving him all these opportunities to kind of maybe follow his, because it is hard to follow your passion if you're not financially independent in a sense,
Absolutely.
right?
Money is essential to
Yeah.
everything. Everything. We need money to live. And we don't need money. If the dollar fails, we'll have some other way of exchanging currency. Like that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm a huge proponent. I take my two under two to when my husband and I, because my husband sells real estate and I am the managing broker. And like we pack up the kids and we go and the kids, come and sit and we talk, we're gonna go work, we're gonna pack the bag, you're gonna work, you're gonna be quiet, and you kind of get them trained in that way because it is important for them to see. But your son is waking up and you've been up since 2:30 in the morning. He's gonna hit an age where he's gonna be like, oh shit, like because he sees you already awake. I think it's different instead of like being away all day, like in different spaces. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I mean, it's that is the early mornings have always been the most productive for me too. So I
Yeah.
can I thought I'm like, man, if I just had the same hour from 4 to 6 a.m., 5 days, like all day, I would have my own little country or something. Like it would be so like those are so
You,
productive.
I totally agree, but it's funny how many people look at you as if you're being crazy, right? It's just it's like I said, it always goes back to kind of your circle and your community, I feel. And it's, a lot of people look at it as, why are you doing this? And there's others you're gonna mention it to, and they'll be like, yeah, I relate to that. And like I said, it's I'm not saying get rid of your old friends or, stop hanging around people that you've been friends with for years, but it's
I'm
it's
saying that. I'll say
definitely
that.
it's funny, we're doing a podcast here, but like the guys at my station, they think I'm crazy for talking to all these people on Zoom and doing podcasts and, YouTube stuff. And but I kind of talked about with other people too, is like, when we grew up, I don't know, well, sorry, I don't know how old you are, but when I grew up, it was kind of like you're forced to be friends with who's the next door neighbor, right? Or whoever you could ride your bike to, or, it's just, that's who you kind of hung around with, a circle. But now with technology and everything, it's, to me, it's normal, like meeting you on Zoom and doing a podcast and talking to
Right.
people. And you actually, I feel like you meet more people that you connect with. You just have, there's just a wider range of people out there.
That it's totally true. And I was who was I talking to? But I was basically making the comment of like, because I've been divorced twice and I'm married to the love of my life. My best friend, like my ride or die, I know for a fact, soulmate forever. I did not feel this way at all, even in my pinky nail with the other two. I just really wanted to get the government involved a bunch of times. But like I like so I and like I've learned a lot of like sort of things from that. But you shit, I forgot my train of thought. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like bombing today.